Pose. Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculously fast. Yeah, almost too fast to take in whatever it was that was all about. And I've recorded that as an idea of how time is accelerating, how our perception is accelerating, how we're taking in so much information these days. It's hard to cram it all into our memories. It's hard to cognize so much information, so much conflicting information, so many various different viewpoints which seem to contradict. So much fake news, so much fake truth. But what is fake truth? Fake truth is something that's not the whole truth. If I've got 99% of the truth, but I haven't got that last 1% that ties it all together, then that's not quite the truth. It's a theory. It's an incomplete equation. It's not until you get the final download of the whole truth that one really understands time and understands that time is speeding up, the perception of time is speeding up, kind of thing. So it's an example of how my communications work, that it's not just the linear words that convey meaning. It's actually the effect of the words that convey meaning. The framing of those words being played at 3 times faster than what they were recorded originally. And so it's the medium is the message. The way it's presented has an effect on what it means, kind of thing. And in many ways, that's what I'm doing with the breaking up of words into smaller constituent parts. Linearly, yeah, putting in little spaces and apostrophes in the middle of words where they wouldn't normally be, in order to make the words phonetic, in order to take the literal and make it figurative, in order to take what's spelled and return the enchantment, in order to take the written word and make it back into the spoken word, to take the visual and make it into the oral, kind of thing. And that's causing the brain to put things together in different ways than what we're used to, so that we're not screening out all the other meanings, but actually being open to the whole truth of what these words might mean if seen in different ways. What sense the sentences make, what sense the words make, what words one can see are actually just respelling of other words. Like creation is a respelling of the word reaction and vice versa. Emit is a respelling of the word time. Like a palindrome, it's just spelled backwards. Silent is the same word as listen. And if we look at things in the normal way of how we were taught to look at things, most people don't notice that the word listen is inherently the word silent, and that there's a esoteric inner meaning of how those words are connected. Time does emit. You can't listen unless you're silent. When you're talking over someone else with your own thoughts, you're not really receiving the meaning that the other person is intending, kind of thing. Tend, dent, attendant, and attend, dent. Dent is the opposite of tend. Anyway, just thought I'd add that there as another upload, download, reload. Bye.
And so regarding things like the eclipse between the sun and the moon and the earth. And you take the moon as being like our feelings and the sun as being like our thoughts. Our thoughts are racing so much these days that for those who don't stop to check in with true feelings, then the feelings are constantly in reaction to the thoughts that are constantly in reaction to the outside world. And the outside world is throwing so much information at us these days that the mind is racing and skipping steps, jumping to conclusions, thinking that because I'm thinking it, it must be true because I trust myself. Or perhaps doubting oneself so much that one's not tuning in with the intuition and actually hearing what the intuition of true feeling is able to interpret about the complex post-traumatic stress disorders from the past that seem to be reimagining the same old traumas happening again and again, but each time it's getting worse. And if one can't stop the mind enough to let the feelings rest enough to actually tune into what the feelings are feeling and what may be getting like a stuck record in the feelings and just keeps jumping back to that same groove on the old 12-inch record players. So to cure the complex PTSD, I found, is to be able to realize that what happened before isn't actually happening right now. That my vagus nerves are holding on to those feelings like a stuck record, and therefore the same complex pattern seems to be overlaying on top of everything that's going on around. And so one can see one's past fears as if every stranger is a danger, as every new thing is the old thing repackaged, as in one can't trust anything anymore. And it's necessary, therefore, to be able to take a rest, and a deep rest, in order to get deep down to why one is depressed, what it is that's hidden, layered under the layers of the onion, what's at the core of what caused the childhood situation that one was born into, which became the registration that the child was taken to the registration place and registered with the crown and became property of the crown. And in a way, our parents all abandoned us in their ignorance of not knowing the history that we were not taught in the schools that are run by the very victors who victimized us back in history. And anyway, it's a path that I've gone down to be able to take a break from what seems to be going on in the outside world and the fake information that we're being fed by the outside world, and to be able to go into my dream states and deep memories, the persistent memories from past lives, might be a way of putting it into words. And therefore being able to trace back in time, how did the world get into this situation? How did I get born into a nation which is not native? A non-native nation that's treating the natives like we're a problem child that got put into adoption agencies because the nation essentially has adopted each one of us as a fiction, as if the nation is our true parent, as if it's the nation that's truly responsible for us, and our blood parents aren't really responsible for us because they've given us away to schools. They've registered us into a legal fiction, law society, and that law society has been creating paper bonds, which are now becoming digital bonds, and those paper bonds have had loans taken out in the promise to pay scenario. And so a whole load of money is being spent in our names on things that are not good for us, and we are ignorant of it. And ignorance is no excuse in law, is a maxim in law, which is to say that they don't have to tell us what they are doing with our names in all cap letters, in envelopes, letters that we receive through our letterboxes, into our internal spaces, into our psyche. Those letters are controlling our thoughts, such as when you get a bailiff's letter through your door telling you that you didn't pay back enough money on some previous debt, or some parking fine, or some driving license fine. And it's not fine, it's fucking hideous, kind of thing. So if one is to get oneself out of the situation that we find ourselves in, it is necessary to understand about the legal fiction. And that's going to take work on the individual's behalf to find out for oneself what has been done in our names, what is being done in our names. Whether that's the people who have the fear of the immigration that's going on these days. These are real fears. These are things that are really happening. But without understanding how it's happening, it's not going to be easy to stop it. So long as people keep talking about the government of the nation as if it's my government because I voted for it, then people are fooling themselves and blindfolding themselves and blaming themselves without any real resolution, without any remedy. And there is a remedy in understanding about law and about the legal fiction. There's a remedy at least in not being fooled by it anymore and not actively supporting something which is not actively supporting us, kind of thing. So anyway, leave a comment, like, subscribe, share and all that stuff if you want to. You can leave a comment and ask for more information, but even more to the point, you can begin searching for the information as to what is the legal fiction. And surely just typing the word legal fiction into your AI overlord is going to begin the journey of beginning to find out what the legal fiction actually is. And if you just keep going down the so-called rabbit holes with your own intelligence, trying to figure out with your own intelligence what questions to ask and what information to find and how to interpret that information, and you're not going to be dependent on someone else explaining it to you, because you're really figuring it out for yourself. Anyway, cheers.